Can you imagine the gut punch? The utter betrayal. My parents, standing there at my college graduation, their faces draining of all color, going absolutely stark white when they realized what I'd done. They thought they had everything figured out, thought they could just sweep their favoritism under the rug. But I made sure that rug was yanked right out from under them in front of everyone. Was I wrong for it? Tell me, honestly, would you have done the exact same thing if you were me? Let me take you back, way back, to when this whole twisted tale began. My sister, Clara, is 2 years older than me. From the moment she was born, she was the golden child, the star, the one who could do no wrong. I was just there, the spare, the second fiddle. It was subtle at first, just little things. Clara got the bigger birthday parties, the newer clothes, the first pick of everything. When we got older, if I brought home a B, it was, why wasn't it an A? If Clara brought home a C, it was, you tried your best, sweetie. I learned pretty early on that my efforts, my achievements, were always going to be measured against an impossible standard, a standard Clara effortlessly met, or was at least perceived to meet, in my parents' eyes. High school was where the disparity truly solidified. Clara decided she wanted to go to an expensive private university out of state, majoring in something notoriously difficult to get a job in, like art history. My parents, without a moment's hesitation, promised to cover every single cent: tuition, room and board, books, even a generous allowance for socializing. They pulled out all the stops, cashed in savings, took out a second mortgage. I remember overhearing them talking about it, my mom saying, Clara deserves the best, she's so gifted. Meanwhile, I was quietly excelling, volunteering, getting genuinely good grades, setting myself up for a much more practical and frankly cheaper degree in engineering. I thought, surely, when it's my turn, they'll do the same for me. I truly believed that. I was naive. When it came time for me to apply to colleges, I didn't even bother looking at private schools. I knew, deep down, that the well had run dry financially and emotionally for my education. I applied to state universities, focusing on ones with strong engineering programs and reasonable tuition. I got into my top choice, a fantastic public university known for its rigorous engineering school. I was ecstatic. I remember rushing home, bursting through the door yelling, I got in! I got into State U! My parents offered a lukewarm, that's nice, honey. No fanfare, no celebratory dinner, no discussions about how proud they were. The contrast with Clara's acceptance a couple of years prior was stark. Her acceptance letter had been framed, mine went into a pile on the kitchen counter. Then came the conversation about finances. I sat them down, showed them the tuition costs, explained the grants and scholarships I'd managed to secure, which covered about a third of it. I looked at them, expectantly, waiting for them to say, don't worry, we'll cover the rest, just like we did for Clara. Instead, my dad cleared his throat, avoiding my gaze, and my mom fiddled with her napkin. Honey, my mom began, her voice soft, almost apologetic. We just don't have the funds right now. Clara's tuition is so high, and with the mortgage, it's just not possible for us to pay for yours. The words hit me like a physical blow. I felt the air leave my lungs. But you paid for Clara's entire tuition. I stammered, my voice barely a whisper. You said you'd help me too. You took out a second mortgage for her. My dad finally looked at me, a tight, uncomfortable expression on his face. Clara needed it more. Her school was very specialized. Your state university is much more affordable. You can take out loans, work a part-time job. It'll build character. Build character. I almost laughed, but it came out as a choked sob. You mean, it'll build resentment? You're telling me that after all these years, after I've worked twice as hard to get half the recognition, you're just going to leave me to fend for myself? They mumbled something about fairness and different circumstances, but their words were hollow, meaningless. My heart was broken, shattered into a million pieces. In that moment, I knew, without a shadow of a doubt, that I was truly on my own. I didn't argue further. What was the point? Their decision was made. I walked out of that room feeling utterly alone, utterly unloved, and fueled by a slow, burning rage. I applied for every scholarship I could find, worked 2 jobs throughout college, took out the absolute minimum in student loans, and studied relentlessly. I graduated summa cum laude with a degree in electrical engineering, having paid for almost everything myself. My student debt was manageable, a fraction of what Clara, who had dropped out after 2 years, had accumulated before my parents finally conceded to pay it off for her as well. Clara was now dabbling in freelance art, and living rent-free in a loft apartment my parents bought for her in a trendy part of town. I, on the other hand, was moving into a tiny apartment, preparing to start a demanding job at a prestigious engineering firm, a job I had worked my fingers to the bone to earn. My parents, surprisingly, were still keen on attending my graduation. They were even going to host a small party afterwards. I agreed, playing the dutiful daughter, but deep inside, a plan was forming. A quiet, elegant, devastating plan. So that's the situation I was in, and I had to make a choice. I had sacrificed so much, worked so incredibly hard, all while watching my sister be spoon-fed every opportunity. My parents had shown me, in no uncertain terms, where I stood in their priorities. Before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause and comment below what you would have done in my shoes. Would you have let it go, forgiven them, and moved on? Or would you have sought some form of acknowledgement? Graduation day arrived, bright and sunny. I was nervous, but not about the ceremony itself. My nerves were solely focused on the moment I had planned. My parents, Clara, and a few other relatives were in the stands, beaming and waving as I walked across the stage. I smiled back, a polite, practiced smile that didn't reach my eyes. My name was called, and I stepped forward. The dean handed me my diploma. As I took it, I also took the microphone that was offered, a common practice at my university for graduates to say a brief thank you. My heart pounded. This was it. I looked out at the sea of faces, found my parents' eager smiles in the crowd. I took a deep breath, adjusted the microphone, and began. First, I'd like to thank the university, my professors, and my friends for their support over the past 4 years. It's been a challenging journey, filled with late nights, hard work, and countless sacrifices. I paused, letting my gaze sweep over the crowd, landing once more on my parents. Their smiles were still there, perhaps a little wider now, expecting the usual platitudes. Then I continued, my voice clear and steady, cutting through the murmuring crowd. But most of all, I extend my deepest gratitude to the ones who truly made this day possible. To my scholarships, to my student loans, and to my 2 part-time jobs at the campus library and the local diner. I saw my mother smile falter, just slightly. My father's brow furrowed. I pressed on. Without the financial assistance from these generous institutions and my own tireless efforts, I wouldn't be standing here today. Thank you for believing in my potential, and for providing me with the means to achieve my dreams, entirely on my own. The crowd erupted in applause, louder than for almost anyone else. People around me were cheering, nodding in approval, clearly understanding the unspoken message. But I wasn't looking at them. I was looking at my parents. Their faces, just moments ago filled with pride, were now utterly devoid of color. Pale ashen, almost transparent. My mother's hand flew to her mouth, her eyes wide with shock and a dawning horror. My father's jaw clenched, his eyes narrowed, burning with a mix of fury and embarrassment. Clara, next to them, just looked confused, but even she seemed to sense the shift in the atmosphere. I handed the microphone back, a triumphant glint in my eye, and walked off the stage, diploma held high. The applause continued to follow me. As I rejoined my classmates, many of them gave me high fives and knowing winks. The rest of the day was a blur of polite congratulations and forced smiles. My parents approached me later, their expressions strained. My mother tried to hug me, murmuring something about, "What a speech!" But I kept my distance, the warmth I usually offered them completely absent. My father, in a low, furious voice, cornered me briefly. "What was that, young lady? You embarrassed us in front of everyone." I met his gaze, my own eyes cold. "I just told the truth, Dad. Isn't that what you always taught me to do?" He had no reply. The graduation party was a tense affair. Relatives kept giving my parents sympathetic or curious glances, some even offering me congratulations on my resourcefulness. My parents tried to deflect, change the subject, but the elephant in the room was enormous and had an engineering degree. Clara, bless her oblivious heart, kept asking me why I didn't mention them in my speech. I just shrugged and said, "I thanked everyone who paid for my education." She still didn't seem to get it. The aftermath has been interesting. My parents are still reeling. They haven't apologized, not directly, but my mother has started sending me little gifts, just because. My father is still distant, clearly hurt by the public exposure of his favoritism, but I haven't heard a single word of regret. Clara is still Clara, living her life of subsidized bohemianism. As for me, I'm thriving. My new job is everything I hoped for, and I'm slowly paying off my loans, feeling a deep sense of accomplishment that they can never take away from me. I earned this, every single bit of it. So, that's my story. It's not a tale of forgiveness, not yet anyway. It's a tale of realizing your worth, even when your own family doesn't, and finding a way to make them see it too, in front of God and everyone. I wonder if they truly understand the depth of their actions now. Or if they just regret being called out. Like this video if you were on my side, if you think I did the right thing. Subscribe for more stories like this, where people finally get what they deserve. And please, share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section below. I'll see you all in the next story.